Welcome back again to part 3. Congratulations for making it this far. But completing this Master Chief Halo Infinite helmet, I started off today with nose detail pieces. So this little piece that goes on top of the nose, once again I just had to make it like 4 times until I got it right, but it's just this kind of like N-shaped piece. And it just goes right across the top of the nose, and then I'll glue these folds, or fold these down after I get this top of it glued. So it's barely on there basically, but I want this to line up right with that last piece that we put on. I'm going to use super glue. I'm going to put some right on the edge of this piece, or maybe right on the corner there, and the edge. And just stick it on exactly where I want it. Perfect. So now it has that little bend right there, and it follows that nose piece. I'm actually going to put a little drop of glue right in this spot because I didn't glue it there yet. Then same thing to the other side. Now after some of the detail on the nose, I went up and filled in the front of this upper visor area. Now in order to get these pieces up here, I'm going to have to cut a little bit away from these inside pieces because they don't line up, and to cover I need it to line up flat. So I'm just going to do my best to shave off enough to keep that corner good and be able to put a thin piece, probably 2mm, just right in that spot. Now I'm kind of just trying to cut at a 45-degree angle there. Good. So now I'll be able to fit something right there. And I'll do the same to the other side. Alright, so I've got this top piece cut. It was actually really easy to cut because it was just a rectangle. I cut the top one at an inward angle so that it meets up better with this top part. So I'm just going to use super glue to glue this piece. Perfect, top is done. Now the bottom side, I will actually kind of lift it up a teeny bit so I can put the glue under. That way I can just press down, making sure those corners are right on the corners, and if it seeps out, just rub that super glue in. There we go. And I'm just doing basically that same method for all of these other pieces. Now after finishing the top section, I jumped down to the bottom and did the bottom like this chin area. So this little piece here was, there was a design piece for it. It was a little small, so I just had to kind of draw the lines a little extra for cutting it out. But just attach, I also cut it with back cuts everywhere. I'm going to start on this corner actually and then go across. Push everything back. Okay, there we go. Alright, so for the last major construction pieces, I have this piece which I'm going to attach down low, and I'm going to try and just go straight with the middle part first. Maybe that's actually a bad idea. I'll go corner to corner, just like the last one. Yeah, that piece was a little funky, but hopefully it doesn't show like too badly when I'm wearing it. The other two pieces are just these triangle pieces, which there's actually one piece that's supposed to go across here and one that's supposed to go all the way across, but I'm not doing that because if I put too much more on, the helmet won't actually fit over my head. So I'm just doing this piece here and another one just like it on this side. There we go, and then the other one. Starting with that corner this time. That's probably how I should have done the other one. Oh well. Okay, there we go. And that's the main construction of the helmet. Now for some little detail pieces. Next part is going up and filling in, or not filling in necessarily, but gluing this thin piece on the inside up here. Okay, coming back to this inside piece here, I've kind of figured out how I want to do it, and I could have just done this at the beginning. I'm just gonna push it right to the edge there and make sure this back edge is flat right there, and just use super glue right on that corner. And it's alright if there's like a little indentation there. I think A, it looks pretty good. B, I could just go in and fill it later to make it look flush. So just do a drop of glue and there we go. And that's it. I'm doing that. Actually, I might put a drop of super glue on the inside as well. It's going to be different rubbing that in. Alright. Just to make it be a little more stable, let's put a drop of super glue here. Put it right on the inside. There we go. And the last bit of construction are all the fine detail pieces. So I did this ear hole vent, this front hose, the AI chip on the back, the side visor, the lights, which are not actually lights, but they are on his suit in the game, and a little more nose detail piece. So this little detail piece is like a little vent. I just put a little outline there of where I wanted it to go, so I'm just going to line up that top there. Without pulling it too much, because that will deform the shape, and I don't want that. Just glue that right on. Perfect. So for this piece here, I cut a dowel rod in half, or a foam dowel rod, and I'm just gonna glue it right up to the edge on this back side. And you can see where I've drawn the lines of where I already know it's gonna go, and just glue it right in there. Next piece that goes over that piece right there, that half dowel, it's just a piece of nylon fabric which I put glue on the other side. And I'm gonna just start with that corner up top and kind of make sure that whole top edge goes in, and then I'm gonna press it down all the way around the edge. Make sure that edge is what we want looking good. Alright, so these pieces is like the chip on the back of the helmet. I'm kind of doing them all at once here. And I put the glue on all of them. Made these two half circles. I am just gluing this little like trapezoid onto one half circle right now. Try and make the bottom flush, which that looks pretty good. And then if the trapezoid is a little too big, which this one actually is like fit perfect, maybe a teeny bit on this side, so I'll trim that off. But just knife. There we go. same to the other side to make it more symmetrical. If I can. There we go. And like I said, I've already put glue on it. And I've drawn out where they're going to go. So just line up the lines. And press down. Perfect. And then basically the exact same thing for the other side. Alright, so for this chip piece, the AI chip, I've drawn out where it's going to go. And I'm just going to place this right inside of that circle. Do your best to make sure that it is level. Good. So for this inside piece, kind of like this visor, I just cut out a piece that was supposed to fit. From the design piece, I had to kind of make up my own, but traced it in where it was going to go. I'm going to start with this back corner. Make sure that gets down. And then kind of work my way up towards the front. There we go. Alright, so these side pieces are supposed to be lights. In the real costume, if I had more time, I would wire lights in. I will maybe get to that, but I'm just putting some super glue on, and I'm using thumbtacks as what looks like the lights do. So the super glue should just hold them in there tight, and I cut off the tips just in case. I don't think it would be a problem regardless, but I don't know. So there we go. That's that. So I've got this piece that I am adding in. I saw on the references. Took a few times to cut it right, but after 3 takes I finally got it. Just using super glue to glue it in. I'm kind of holding it in the right spot, so I didn't want to move and point to anything. So I had it perfect. Okay, I like that. So anyway, it's just this little yellow piece. Just gluing it in like that. I have actually undercuts, or angle cuts on the inside of these two sides and flat on the front. So this piece right here has a couple like rivet looking parts, and I'm just going to use the tip of a pen with it clicked in, and I'm just kind of eyeballing it there. You just press in and you kind of twist, and that gives it a little rivet detail. So I'm just doing that there, there, and there. There we go. So there's another just kind of line up here. I did this as one solid piece, so there is no seam in the reference pictures. It does look like there is more of a seam, so I just drew a line exactly where I wanted it, and I'm just going to score right there. Not cut very hard, but just cut straight along that line. Perfect. And we'll throw some heat on that. That'll open it up a teeny bit. There we go. Now after all the detail pieces are on, it is time to Kwik Seal, Plasti Dip, and paint. So the next section is using Kwik Seal, or at least this is what I use, to cover up any seams that you didn't want, or to make any seams look cleaner. So this piece is not there on any references that I've looked at. So all you have to do is squeeze out a little of the Kwik Seal, which this is old, but still should work just fine, and just press it right on over that seam that you don't want showing. And it doesn't quite cover 100%, but it gets it really close. Get your finger a little wet and run it over that seam and smooth it out. You may have to do this a little bit, or a few times at least, and it takes a while to dry, but I like to go over the spot enough to just get rid of these seams, because they're not there they're going to bother me. So I will just try and fill them in. And I know it makes it look really messy, but that's okay. When it dries, it'll clear up. Or it doesn't clear up, but you'll paint over it, so that doesn't matter. So just do that, any space that you need to fill or cover over. Now after you've done all the little detail pieces, it's time to Plasti Dip. Plasti Dip is just basically a spray on rubber, and I use it to seal in everything on the foam. You can see here I've taped over the visor cover with some paper and tape, and I taped on the inside of an empty paper towel roll to hold it in place so I don't have to hold the helmet itself. And I'm not doing this once, not twice, but 3 times actually, at least, to make sure everything is properly coated. After each round of Plasti Dip, I placed the helmet using the paper towel roll over a broom handle just so it wasn't touching anything. Now after Plasti Dipping, I'm using this Krylon Satin Italian Olive because this is the perfect color match for Master Chief's green armor. I'm using this as the first coat. Now again, I'm using 4 coats of this. Also, be safe with this and wear your mask, or at least wear some kind of respirator or mask every coat for paint. I didn't for the first few coats because I was not paying enough attention. I was in a ventilated area, so I think it was alright, but from now on I'm definitely going to be using a mask. The next painting part is, if you have an airbrush, you can definitely use that. You probably have to tape off sections that you want to leave green, but next step is just using black paint and painting in everywhere that is supposed to be black. And I'm actually using this heavy body acrylic paint, and acrylic is good because it's a little flexible after it dries, so yeah, I'm just using all black. And the heavy body, I think that means that it just lays in a little thicker, so you don't have to do quite as many coats. And as you can see, like this first coat that I'm putting on is a little, you still see green through it, and I'm probably going to do 2 or 3 coats probably everywhere. But the first coat is always, don't mind it being a little thin looking. The next coats, when you put them on, the black really starts to sink in there. So as you can see, I put the blue tape on there because I wanted to be able to paint quicker and easier, I guess. Or not I guess, but that way I don't have to worry about like getting on the green if I want to do that edge right there. So that makes it way easier. And when you do the second coats, like I said, it really shows a lot better. I know the lighting is not super good, but the second coats and third coat really just cover up that green a lot better. Get 3 coats on, then we'll be done with the black part. So the last step here for painting is silver, and I just got this this silver at, I think it was Michael's a while ago. It's just like a metallic silver. It actually looks really good, but all you're doing is you get a teeny bit on the end of the brush here, and you're just dry brushing it on, and it's kind of like less is more, honestly. So you just kind of lightly go over, like the corners is usually what I stick to. And you can put a little more in some place just to make it look like it's been scuffed up a little bit. And really don't overdo it here. So once you've finished all the silver painting and all the black painting, it's time to put the visor in. And I just glued mine in with hot glue. And I actually was not able to video that because I was running late for the con, so I had to just get it in there quickly. And I got my visor. This is what it looks like when I bought it. I bought it on Etsy from Icon Props. And as you can see, it's bendable. It's like plastic. It cuts easily with scissors. So I just kind of held it in there, bent it and held it in there. And as I was holding it, I took a little piece of tape, put it along the top where I knew that was going to be the top and the two edges so that I could cut the edges to be equal. And I made sure, since it has that hex pattern, that it looked like it went straight across the top and not like at an angle. Then after you kind of cut out the general shape, and it doesn't matter if it's long or bigger or longer than the opening of the visor, because the visor goes on the inside so it'll cover the whole way. Then I just used a little bit of hot glue and put it right on the top there on the inside, kind of pulled back here and put hot glue on that inside of the visor, and same on the other side. And the bottom is a little bit open. You can see that little gap, which is kind of good because it allows air to kind of escape when you're breathing out, so it doesn't fog up too much. And the last step for this build actually is putting foam pieces in there. You can see I've got most of them. I've got to do one more. And this is to just hold the helmet tight on your head. Now, since I measured this to my head using the Peppercura file, it was pretty close to begin with, so all I needed was these ones in the front because I didn't want my nose to be mashed up against the visor. I would have rather had the back of my head be pushed up against the back of the helmet. So I'm just using this foam. It's just like padding. I got it at Walmart. It's an inch thick. Cuts easily with scissors, so I cut off another thin piece. You can see this one is thin because I'm going to put it on the visor itself right here so that it presses up on my cheek. And the idea behind this part is that it'll kind of prevent most of my breathing air from going up onto the visor as well. And I'm just using hot glue to adhere this, so it doesn't need a lot of hot glue, but enough to stick the padding down. Make sure you support the front side so you're not just pressing the visor and bending it in a weird way. There we go. Thank you all for watching. I hope you're as happy with your helmet as I am with mine. It came out a lot better actually than I was planning on it actually being. So I was super happy with it. Leave your comments down below. Please like and subscribe. Be ready for more builds to come. And hail to the hobbies.